Hey everyone, this is going to be a video of a walkthrough of this setup, sort of a KD tree inside Houdini, and by the end we're gonna have this video setup with a few controls. We can set up how many iterations we want and the random seed, just like a regular one. This is a rather simple setup, doesn't use any effects or anything, more of a brute force approach to this. Has some really nice techniques, how to use for loops and how to use a few functions and referencing and all sorts of stuff. So let's get started. I'm going to lay down a geometry node. I'm gonna dive in, delete the file that's in there as a default. I'm gonna lay down a grid SOP, right? Let's set this rows and columns to 2 by 2. Okay. Let's set the size to 4 by 4. This is arbitrary side. You can put whichever size you want on here. Before we start, let's just take care of a few markers that I like to work with when I'm dealing with these types of setups. Disabling the origin, let's put the point marker up to 4 and the guide font to large. Close this and show our markers. Okay. So the first thing you want to lay down is a for each. Okay. If you think about this as a k-dimensional tree, for every piece of geometry coming inside, we want to do some operations, and then we're gonna loop over this over and over every time, using the result of the latest as the input, right? So I'm gonna put this grid right here. Set this to primitives on the end. Okay. Go to the beginning right here, and first node we're gonna use is a Carve, because we need this this grid or this incoming geometry to be broken up. Okay. That's how we're gonna do right here. The first U goes to 0, and the second goes to 1, and the breakpoints has to be cut on internal ones. That's looking good. Next comes the delete SOP. Okay. Let's just put the visibility on. We want to choose the operation here as a range. Okay. And the default on the range is actually what we wanted. I'm just gonna click Alt and drag this to copy that, and this is where we want this to be the opposite, right? So it gives us the other pair. Before we keep going, I'm just gonna set the flag display on our grid, so we have this faint helper right there, so we don't get lost. So I'm gonna work first on this first side, and then I'm gonna copy some stuff because this is mainly one little piece, one snippet of code that gets repeated a few times. So let's keep going here. We want this to be further broken down. I'm gonna append another delete SOP right here. Just keep wiring this to the end. On the group, let's put it 0 right there. Delete selected, so right like that. I'm gonna Alt click and drag again and delete non-selected this time, so we have those pairs, and I'm gonna select them both again, click Alt and drag, and let's wire them up the other side. Okay, so we have all of our incoming edges, sort of, from our incoming primitive separated. That's what we wanted. So let's start appending another for each point. Oops, sorry, not selected. Don't select anything for each point. And we're gonna work on this first side right here. Just remember to wire things correctly, like that. Select the piece elements to primitives because we are working with these edge right here. That's what we want to work with right now. And we're gonna append a new Carve SOP, alright, inside there. And this is gonna be our control. So I'm gonna explain what I mean by control in a bit. Let's see how it looks like. For now it has this default 0.25 on the first U, and that's perfectly fine for us. I'm gonna just select that and just copy and drag so you guys can see and follow what I mean by control. And I'm just gonna connect them together, and I'm gonna merge these so we have just a visualization what's happening. And this is not actually what we want. We want this second carve to be kind of offsetted so they always match. So I'm gonna color this one blue. This is just an arbitrary color code that I came up with to help me on my network editors when it gets kind of complicated, really huge. So from really afar you can see, oh, there is a green one there, you must control something. And the blue ones means that they are being referenced to the green ones, so it kind of keeps things a bit organized for myself. I'm gonna click on the green one on the first carve or control, right click, and I'm gonna copy the parameter, jump to the blue one, and instead of the first U, we want actually to select the second U. And this is actually correct right now. How it is? This is the value that we want, but they are kind of independent. So we want them to be always related to each other. So I'm going to type here 1 minus, right click, and paste relative references, enter. And this gives us this result, which is what we wanted, right? So this internal referencing in Houdini is one of the most crucial things you can learn and master in the beginning when you're starting out. So get used to this type of stuff of right-clicking and working with these relative references that can open up so many things in your workflows that it's really awesome. So I'm gonna keep going here. Let's actually use this merge node right here. I'm gonna delete the second input. So what we want to do now is close up this this primitive, so we have like a face right here, right? A new primitive. So I'm gonna start merging them in a clockwise fashion. I just need to push to pick up the inputs on the correct order right now, and that's what I'm gonna do. So first that one, and then the second one, and for the fourth, the one's missing here, we actually have to build it. So it's gonna be done really easily. I'm just gonna put another delete node, okay? And this delete, we are, remember, working on the first input right there. I'm gonna delete the point number 0 and the non-selected actually. Alright, let's just make some room right here for us. Can always build things tidy up later. And this will be happening also on the second sides right here on the other side. And I'm gonna merge these two together. Alright, and this is what we have, and I'm gonna append an add node. Okay, and this has to be polygons and by group, and they get connected right there. That's what we wanted. and I'm just gonna put the result inside this merge right here, so we have that. I'm gonna append another add SOP, okay, and I'm gonna come here, delete geometry but keep points, and I'm gonna explain why in a sec. I'm gonna come to polygons by group, and I'm gonna select closed. And why we did this here on the points and deleting the geometry, this is actually just making this a little bit faster for us, because it doesn't keep all of the primitives. So because the curves that we had before are themselves also primitives, so you see instead of 5 we're lowering this number just 1, just the face that we were working with, and that's actually what we want. So to optimize this even further, we can append a clean SOP after the add, okay, and I'm gonna consolidate the points. So you can see on your geometry spreadsheet right here that now we have actually just 4 points as opposed to 8. Cutting the point number in half, always a good idea. If you're not gonna use them, don't have to carry the data all across the networks. Just makes things a bit faster. Alright, so next step is to make sure that the rest of the geometry is also generated, but it also always obeys the size of this first carve that we did right here. So I'm gonna select these 2 for each loops that we created before. I'm gonna click Alt and drag down here, okay. I'm gonna tie this up a little bit before we keep going. Just make some space right here. These 3 nodes, I'm gonna put them down there, okay, so we have some more room to work with. And let's keep it right there, yeah, it's okay. And let's see, this is not control, so this is blue. And let's make sure that this thing right here, okay, let's just flag this result in addition to that one. I'm sorry, to this one, okay. And let's make sure that this carve right here, this is the one we're dealing with right now, always stays more or less this size, yeah, that's what we're aiming for. So that's how we do, that's how I mostly work with Carve when I'm unsure of what value I have to put in. I just do it like by hand, check more or less how much it is. So I'm looking right here, for example, this Carve has 0.4, right? The first one, our control one. So if I copy the parameter right here, and this, yeah, kind of 0.4, yeah, that sounds about right. So I'm just gonna paste relative references right here, and boom, they are referenced. The second one, it's similar. This was already referenced and it's working so far, but I'm gonna shift, control and left click to delete the reference that we created. I'm gonna deselect the second U, select the first U, and I'm gonna check, okay, how much is it? Oh, 0.6, yeah, 0.4. That means 1 minus 0.4, right? So this is kind of a mental game that you can do if you are unsure about the values in the Carve SOP. This can help you to get things right. So I'm gonna append a new merge, okay, and we're gonna start merging these things together just like we did before in a clockwise fashion. So let's start with that one. The middle one, of course we have that one already. We already calculated it before, so we can reutilize this. And let's keep adding things. And the last one was right here that we separated on the beginning, this edge right here. And we can put them together. Let's Excuse me, let's just tidy this up a little bit. All right, and let's just hope we don't get too confused right here, and we can copy, alt click and drag. There is this add and this merge, this clean SOP right here. Let's merge these two streams of data together. Okay, and there you have it. So let's just try this out one last time. Our Carve control is working properly. Okay, so our things come here, put the display flag on that one, and there you have it. So there's actually just one thing that we have to do before I keep going. There is a little mistake that I did. Just the order of these add and clean nodes. The add nodes has to come after the clean nodes. So just do that before we keep going. Just like that. Won't take you much time. And what we want to do next is, before we start randomizing stuff, we want to make sure that the repetition inside this setup is working properly. So for that, we're going to use a for loop with feedback. It's this one right here. I'm going to just put it down, just like that. It goes inside here in between the first grid and the loop that we created before. Just shake this off. Append it here down here. Alright. And it's gonna calculate a few things. Actually a good idea. Oh yeah. Quite a few results right there. So good idea for you if you're working with this in a slower computer, just like I am. Pump down your iterations here, just like to 5 or something like that, just so you can get a faster result right off the bat. So if we go to our control right here on the Carve, okay, and we control this, you're gonna see that it does work, kind of, okay. Not actually how we want it, because you see the display flag wasn't right. So make sure you have this on, and now it should work properly. So yeah, still too much iterations going on. My computer is quite slow, so I'm gonna put down this to 3 or something. And if you change these values, you're gonna always have different things, different outcomes. Pretty nice trick right there with the Carve SOP. Just put this to some value you like, and we're gonna make something now to make this value always change with every iteration. And for that, we're gonna click on the for each begin right here, and then we're gonna create a meta import node. Just sorry, I'll make them move together. Just rename this something a bit easier, like iter. That's how I like to call these iterators that we create. And I'm gonna dive into this SOP right here, and I'm gonna click there, and with Command E in my Mac, or Alt E I think on your Windows, it's gonna open up this expression editor, right? And I'm gonna delete whatever is there, and I want to lay down a rand function. Okay, so this is gonna return a random number, pseudo-random number between 0 and 1 for us, which is actually perfect, since the Carve SOP always needs a value between 0 and 1. And we're gonna use so let me just step back a little bit, because it's possible that some people don't know what this is about. If you click on the iter here that we created, this metadata node right here, and you come to your geometry spreadsheet, there is this little thing called the detail tab. And if you take a look, there is a detail coming from this node. It's called iteration, right? And this is a number that keeps track of which iteration this loop is currently in. And this number can be used for all sorts of things. And in this case, we can use it as a seed for our random number that's going to be generated at every iteration, so that this Carve right here has a different value each time. So this is quite a powerful thing to have. And how we're going to use this is with the detail function, alright? So you can click Alt E. I'm just going to type it here this time. I'm going to type rand, open and close parentheses, detail function, open and close again, go back inside, and I'm gonna start typing the name of our node right there. So we're referencing that node, comma, the name of the detail attribute, we want, and type 0. So since this is a one-dimensional attribute, so it just has one value, then that's the first value that we want. Okay. And this actually should work, right? This is outputting at every iteration a number between 0 and 1. And I'm gonna prove it to you guys that it's working. So right off the bat, you see something happened, right? And right now we don't have any multipliers or anything like that, so we cannot control it directly. We could, of course, just add some number right here, hard code, for example, 1 here. It's just gets added to the seed and outputs a different number each time. But we can also input something like a controller right there. So I'm just going to create a null, put it right there, and just call this control, something like that. With this selected, you just come up here, edit parameter interface, okay, select whatever is there, put them in visible, drag a float, for example, it can be an integer or anything like that, just a number. I'm gonna call this random. I'm just gonna be seed parm, alright, seed parameter, and random seed, just give it a name, put in the range between 0 and something, and actually maybe make it 1, so it always does something. Just apply and accept. I'm gonna copy this parameter, go back to our Carve, and inside the random function, I'm just gonna add that value, alright? And I'm gonna paste this reference, okay? And it works, of course, just as we did before. There's one last thing that I wanna actually do, because since this, with varying this, it will be always a different outcome, right? So this is actually what I wanted to prevent, right? You see, this is not a result that I think it's interesting for us, because if you see, it can output this random function can output any number between 0 and 1, right? But it's possible that the first number that it outputs is so close to 1 or so close to 0 that you have like these huge chunks of geometry. That's something that we want to avoid, to have some more interesting outcomes. So one thing we can do is fit this result between something in a range that we think that it's acceptable. So I'm just gonna, before this range, I'm gonna append a new function called fit01. So we're gonna get this value of the random that is itself between 0 and 1. Just put these things in there, open and close, go back inside, comma, and then I need a new minimum value, which is going to be 0.01, 1 in this case, just arbitrary. You can experiment with these values as you want, but I think this is quite okay for now. 0.9 for example, so we won't go past these values. It's gonna be kind of refitted to this range, and right off the bat you see, okay, that's kind of working. We can even go a bit further, 0.2 to 0.8 for example. So yeah, it's kind of nice. This is gonna prevent some extreme results and some unwanted things that we would like to avoid. So this is working quite nicely already. This is pretty much it. You can even come down here to your for loop. Right in the end you have this iteration that you can pump up or down as you wish. We can also create another controller for it right here on the first, so we can control it on from the same node. So I'm just gonna go this iter parm, alright, iteration, just give it a name, range, has to be from 1 on. I'm gonna apply an accept, copy this parameter and just paste it down there, just like we did before. Paste relative references, click enter, and this is pretty much it. Let's just check it out. So let's push it up. See some different seeds right there. Yeah. You see this limit that we put it here can control pretty much how this thing looks. You can even promote these two values and have them control from here, but this, I will leave this to you guys. You can do that if you want, but I think this looks too square, kinda. It looks too perfect for me, so I think this looks more like an interesting result. But this is up to you guys. You can just experiment with this and have some fun with this little setup that I came up with. I hope you guys enjoyed it and could at least learn something from it. As you see, it's not that complicated, but that's the beauty of it. With very simple things, very simple concepts, you can achieve a lot of interesting results within Houdini. And yeah, that's pretty much it for today, guys. Thank you so much. See you next time.